This is Pope Francis' personal look at history, how the human suffering caused by wars and economic crises shaped his life and worldview. History repeats itself, and what happened then is happening now too, he writes in his book Life. For any war to truly end, forgiveness is necessary. Otherwise, what will follow is not justice, but revenge. But it's his own history as head of the Catholic Church that is most captivating. At 87 years old, with a litany of health problems, Francis insists he is not giving up his job. Fortunately, I have never thought of resigning, despite moments of difficulty. Like the rest of the world, he was stunned by Pope Benedict XVI's resignation over a decade ago.
Grazie, buonanotte.
For a moment, I was paralyzed. I could hardly believe what I was hearing. This was news I had never expected to receive in my lifetime. A month later, he would be elected Pope.
Buonasera.
Something Francis says he didn't understand until the final day of the conclave, when a fellow cardinal asked him about a false rumor that he only had one lung. David Gibson of Fordham Center on Religion and Culture is a former journalist who covered Francis.
He's as surprised to find himself Pope as anybody else. And he wants people to know that he's had the ordinary experiences of everyone else.
As leader of the Jesuits in Buenos Aires, Francis details how he hid young men during Argentina's dirty war in the 70s, and how he worked to free 2 priests abducted by the military, men he says he was wrongly accused and cleared of handing over. He takes on critics who say he's destroying the papacy by being so accessible. I am a pastor, and a pastor must be among his people. He defends his decision to allow priests to bless same-sex couples, saying God loves everyone, but the sacrament of marriage is only for a man and a woman. Leave well enough alone, he writes. He also shows his human side, revealing he was once engaged, and as a seminarian, a beautiful, clever woman made his head spin for a week. Still the oldest child of Regina and Mario Bergoglio followed the calling he heard as a teen, to become a priest, and eventually the 266th pontiff of the Catholic Church. Is this Pope Francis trying to write his own legacy?
Yes, this really is Pope Francis trying to write his own legacy, set the record straight, saying this is what I meant and this is what I tried to do as Pope. This is how I saw the Church and the world at this time. That's the record. That's it.
Now, this book is full of Francis's humor, saying if he had become a missionary in Japan, as he once hoped, his life may have taken a different turn, and that some people in the Vatican would be happier.
Can we just go back to the whole idea that the Pope was in love at one point, so much in love with this young lady that he couldn't pray? I read that. He couldn't pray for a week. He met her at a wedding. He was a seminarian, and he just said he was dazzled by her. Wow. But the infatuation passed. He shows, that's what he shows. He shows he's a person. Yeah. He's not some, mystical figure. He's a real person, and he reacts just like the rest of us.
Seems interesting.
Thank you so much. Appreciate the reporting.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't miss the Today Show every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific on our streaming channel, Today All Day. To watch, head to today.com/allday or click the link right here.